Rishi, you did a piece a few weeks ago. Some of these are strategic takeouts. Some might be private equity. Can you talk about the rationale? And if you can, which names seem the most likely?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. Look, I think the rationale is exactly as the intro kind of kicked off. A lot of these names are off super high from their peaks. We're heading into a period with high inflation, high interest rates, worries about recession. And I think more and more the boards of directors have to take the acquisition seriously, right, or offers seriously from private equity. And at the same time, I think some of the larger platform players, your Salesforces and Microsofts and Oracles and SAPs of the world are looking at some of these multiples coming down so much and saying, hey, this is a great time to start to consolidate some IT spend and really take advantage of the major pullback that we're seeing here. So, when we think about like what makes sense as acquisition candidates, I think there's a slew across the board when it comes to both strategic and private equity. But really the common theme that we're seeing is either companies that have had major pullbacks and those that would be just stronger as part of a larger platform. Dropbox is a name that we think, Drew has taken the company really far. But, if Dropbox were owned by Adobe or owned by Salesforce, we think there's a lot more they could do with the asset. We think, New Relic, I'm actually just at the New Relic conference right now, is a company that private equity could be looking at. Coupa, another one that private equity is definitely taking a look at. And then, as you mentioned, Zoom and DocuSign, big beneficiaries of the pandemic and remote work. But they've pulled back to such low levels and trade at such cheap multiples on profitability that we think they're very attractive to some big acquirers, namely Salesforce.
Right. Now, you mentioned some of those potential buyers. Some of them do have some outstanding deals that have yet to close. Does that preclude further bids? And I wonder, from a regulatory standpoint, has that picture gotten easier or harder?
Yeah, look, I don't think that precludes those deals from happening, right? I mean, Microsoft made a huge acquisition with Nuance, and while that deal was going on, made the offer to go buy Activision, which is the largest tech M&A deal ever, right? And I know Salesforce has their hands full with Slack, but these multiples coming where they are. Salesforce is a very acquisitive company, so I don't think that prevents them from happening. Now, in terms of the regulatory environment, it probably has gotten slightly more difficult, but I think the thing that we've seen is the regulatory bodies don't seem to care as much about enterprise software as they do about consumer technology. So while, the regulators will come down on, Facebook or Google or Amazon trying to buy someone, that doesn't seem to be the case with anything related to enterprise software. And especially if it's someone like Salesforce or SAP or Oracle buying, a mid-cap software name, I don't think that regulatory is going to be a major hurdle to making that happen.
Hey, Rishi, it's Dee. Why do you think the likes of Zoom and DocuSign are attractive? What do you think that acquirers would be buying? Is it the technology? Is it the users? Because it feels like a lot of the bigger tech companies are developing it themselves and can kind of sell to their existing base of customers.
Yeah, look, I think you are buying a combination of the technology and the penetration that they have within large organizations, as well as the ubiquitous nature of those tools. DocuSign, sure, a lot of other companies have tried, namely Adobe, right? They've made an acquisition in this space long ago. Their e-signature product is significantly smaller than DocuSign's and growing slower, right? So clearly there is a technological edge there. And I think this would be really valuable for Salesforce to embed it within, the CRM system, and especially in a hybrid selling world. Zoom, yes, Microsoft is getting really aggressive with Teams, but look, I still think Zoom has the best video conferencing technology out there. And if it gets owned by a larger company that has the ability to bundle in video as part of other collaboration solutions, I think that increases Zoom's competitiveness against Microsoft. So I really think it's the great technology, the good customer base, and then the ability to cross-sell what is best-in-class technology alongside other solutions.